Joining us now, he is the head coach at Alabama, entering his 24th season. He's been 26 seasons at Alabama overall, and now will be inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame come May of 2022. I speak of Patrick Murphy with us here on In the Circle. First, congrats on the new title there, Hall of Famer.
Hey, thanks a lot, Eric. It was a really, really cool surprise. I had no idea. And, to get in with people like Philip Rivers and Jake Peavy, who was a Major League Baseball pitcher. He's from Mobile. Just an incredible honor. It's going to be a fun night in May.
May 7th. For those that may not be aware outside of Alabama, explain the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, because you're going to be the first person to represent softball into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they actually have a gift shop at the Birmingham airport that's kind of like a theme of the Hall of Fame. So I've gone by it. I've bought stuff in there. It's a pretty cool gift shop, but then they have pictures of the latest nominees and enrollees. So, but I've heard it's like one of the best state Hall of Fames in the country. And, like Coach Saban, Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas. It's incredible, the number of athletes, coaches, and you have to have obviously something to do with the state of Alabama, either from there or coach or play at a school there. So, it's going to be fun.
It's pretty special. You get to be the first to represent softball, rich state, and you're probably going to open the floodgates for future people, not only at Alabama, but others, people involved in the game of softball from the state of Alabama.
Well, it would be really cool to have Kelly Critchman in there. Obviously, she would be one that I would say. And then, I think it takes a little bit, I think it's either after their career or something. I don't know the rules. But we have a lot of young ladies in our program alone that would be, outstanding members of that Hall of Fame. So maybe, next year we can get that ball rolling.
Amen. Kelly Kretschmann was exactly the first day. That's definitely needs to happen with everything she's done as a representative. Let's talk about the fall for you. How has the fall went for you? As your team obviously had another great season last year, winning the SEC championship at home, hosting in the tournament, making a deep run into the Women's College World Series. How has the fall gone?
Well, we lost 10 young ladies and then added 9 newbies, 6 freshmen, 3 transfers, 2 Division I and 1 junior college. And, the biggest thing with me was, how did those 12 returnees and the 9 newbies mesh? And it was just unbelievable. We had a ceremony over here. I'm looking outside my office. It's called the Sarah Patterson Champions Plaza. And they recognize the conference champions from the year before, and they have this big ceremony. And Holly Rowe was there because she was in town for the LSU Alabama football game. And she came over to say hi to us. And of course, she had all the questions that you're probably going to ask too today. And I said, Holly, this is one of the closest teams we've had at this point. And she said, wow, what's going on and what's the reasons and stuff like that. And I think we really needed Allie Shipman and Ashley Prangy in terms of leadership, experience, upper class people, because, Kaylee Tao truly was like the lone senior, and, Montana has 2 years left. Everybody else had COVID years. So when they came in, I think it really, really helped in terms of experience, leadership, and they have just melded into the group so well. And then they also brought the freshmen in. So I couldn't be any happier. I think our strength coach, Michelle Diltz, was extremely pleased how they worked in the weight room. We just got our grades, and we had 5 4.0s for the fall. And so they did a pretty good job, in the classroom. And, we're all looking forward to seeing what this team can do.
For the returners, do you sense kind of unfinished business, a little extra motivation, because you were so close last season, right there? You were 1 win away from playing for the national championship series. Do you sense that from the veterans, the players that are coming back?
I do. And, obviously Montana and Kaylee Tao, but also with Shipman and Prangy, they want that taste, They want to get back there. They want an opportunity to play in Oklahoma City. And, I think they all watched it. If you're not playing in it, I think you watch it. And I think they also saw how close we were. And, the pieces that we have coming back, the pieces that we added. It's a very, very deep team, very athletic. I think that was the thing that a lot of people said after fall ball about the freshmen. A lot of them can play at a lot of different positions. And, in the fall, that's kind of what I do. We played 8 games and I had 8 different lineups. People played all different spots because I need to see them. And we were lucky we got to play Lipscomb. We played Memphis and we played Louisiana Monroe. So we got to play 3 Division I's, which usually doesn't happen. And you want to put those freshmen, right into the fire and see how they do. And, there was one game where the top 5 in the lineup were all freshmen. And, I know what Kaylee Tappan do. She's a 3-time All-American. I need to see what Callie Headland's going to do, with the bases loaded and 1 out, she's up to bat. So we use the fall as kind of a learning thing. And it's a chance for all of them to put on a uniform, get the jitters out a little bit, and then get ready for the spring.
You mentioned you lost some bats and some players that, you don't replace. You don't replace a Bailey Henfield. But you have young, talented players. Of the new faces, who has stood out to you in the fall because making that transition of the new faces that will contribute to the offense?
Well, a lot of our freshmen, I think, you could see a bunch of them on the field. And, Dallas Goodnight, she's a young lady from the Atlanta area. She's going to be a green light girl. She's either going to be left field, center field. I think the fastest kid on the team right now. She was the state long jump champion in Georgia. So a really, really good athlete. Throws right, hits left, triple threat, just a good athlete. Aubrey Barnhart plays first, third, catcher, Tennessee Player of the Year. Another, she's more pop than speed, but she's got tremendous power, all fields. Throws right, hits left. Megan Bloodworth, another the Georgia High School Player of the Year. Righty, third, second, short. A lot of pop. I think she's going to hit for us. She's got a smooth swing. Absolutely fundamentally sound kid at the whole game. Then Callie Headland, Michigan Player of the Year. Shortstop, second base, very athletic, great arm, lots of pop. She could do some good things. And it's been a fun fall. And there's been a couple times where we started practice or whatever. And then, I realized that like 6 or 7 of the kids in the infield had never been there before. And I think Tao might've had a class that day. So we really, it was like, we had to start from scratch here. And we tried to take our time and really, slow it down a little bit, put on the patient coach hat, because truly they had never done stuff. They didn't know the drills or whatever. And so that part of it was kind of fun, really. And, just that new kid mentality of, wide-eyed freshman, enthusiastic, just, they want to play Division I softball. And that part of it is really cool to see.
Is the identity of your offense still kind of evolving there? Because in the past, you've talked about it. Some years you've had teams that were more of a power hitting team. Some teams were speed. Some teams you figured it out in the fall. Some it took a little while. Where is the identity of this offense as of now?
I think it's still to be determined. Our leadoff possibilities, there's probably 7 girls that could do it. And, when you recruit a kid, she's either going to be the leadoff, the 3, or the 4-hole hitter. Almost every kid on the team, if you looked, or if you asked them, where did you hit in high school? They're all going to say 1, 3, or 4, So just, Jenna Johnson is a kid I haven't mentioned yet, kid from Nashville. I think she's really going to be really, really good. Righty, green light girl. She's got some pop. So she led off in the fall. Dallas led off in the fall. Tao led off in her high school and summer ball career. She's done that a couple times at Alabama. You got Savannah Woodard. She's one of the returnees. Obviously Dallas. So we got opportunities. We just, and I always tell them the lineup is like a 9 piece puzzle. And wherever you fit the best, that's where you're going to be. And it never means if you're hitting in the 9 spot, you're the 9th best hitter on the team. And, I think our kids realize that, but I have to remind them that you fit best in that spot. So why don't you be the best 9 spot hitter in the entire nation and make our lineup turn over and over and over. And we've had some really, really good ones down there. And obviously they're going to see some good pitches because most people don't want to face the top of the order, right? So the goal of 7, 8, 9 is to turn that lineup over. And I think last year down the stretch, when we won 20 straight games and 18 were against ranked teams, the bottom of the lineup did it for us. And, you had Mac and Bailey and Tao just doing great things at the top. But then you also had Alyssa Brown in the 9 spot that made that lineup turn over. And so we got to replace kids like that. And, you're right about Bailey Hemphill. I mean, she hit almost 500. She struck out twice in SEC play. I mean, it's just like, how do you do that? And she's not putting the ball in play and beating it out. She's like me and you. We're turtles. And whenever she hit it, it had to be a hit. There's, our SID is sitting on here. And there's no way in heck that he's, as a slapper, sometimes those are kind of questionable. Like, okay, could she have thrown her out, or if she makes the play? But with Bailey, it's a hit or not a hit. Simple as that. So, and I think it's a really good challenge. And I think with Tal leading the way, she knows what I want. She's passing that on to Shipman and Prangy and all those new freshmen, that this is how he does it. This is how it's going to be. And we're going to be like a wolf pack and just scratch and battle and claw and compete. And usually that's the team that ends up winning.
When you have so many new faces, you mentioned the infield in particular and the skill position players, is it a slower process? Do you worry more about the defensive side? Is that the one that kind of keeps you up and wondering and thinking, okay, we need to address this sooner than the offense? How do you compare when you're trying to fit in new pieces? Is it the offense or the defense that kind of compare the speed of it? Like, which one comes first?
Well, when we scrimmage, if it's, Alabama versus Alabama, that very first time, I'm always hoping that it's either 1-0 or 2-1 or 0-0, actually, because you would hope that the pitchers are ahead of the hitters the first time you scrimmage, right? But if it's 10-9, I go home thinking, oh shit, this is going to be a long year. And thankfully it never was that, when you have somebody like Montana and Lexi Kilfoyle and Jayla Torrance and Alexandra Salter, which people haven't seen, but she's going to be a really good pitcher for us. But, there's pieces of the puzzle with defense too. I mean, you're right. It's, there's a lot of positions still up for grab. We haven't even talked about Bailey Dowling as well. When she got hurt, she was leading the team in home runs and RBIs. It wasn't Bailey Hemphill, it was Bailey Dowling. And so right before we went home for Christmas break, she got, released. And obviously she's got to do all those things that she needs to do over Christmas break at home. And then when she comes back, she should be good to go. And we kind of made a little pact this fall that, fall ball really didn't mean anything. And that we'd much rather have her do what she needs to do with her rehab and all that stuff with the athletic trainers than to try to play in a fall ball game. So she didn't play, but she'll be ready to go. And, one of the things you've heard people say this about a pitcher that maybe has a drop ball, and the commentator will say she throws a heavy drop ball. Well, Bailey Dowling, I don't know how to describe it, but she's got a heavy barrel. And no matter where the pitch is, she barrels up the ball. I mean, it could be on her shoestrings or, up by her shoulders, and she's cranking the ball out of the park. And that other saying where a scout will say, when the ball comes off the bat, it just sounds a little different.
Yeah.
It does with her. And, if you could sit and watch batting practice someday and just listen and not, watch who's up to bat. But when you hear the ball off her bat, it does sound different. And we can't wait to get her back out there. But, and another kid too that had a great ball was Abby Dorr, the catcher from Eugene, Oregon. And, for probably 4 weeks in the fall, she was our best hitter. Throws right, hits left, got some pop. Definitely a doubles home run hitter. And we're looking for really good things from her too.
You mentioned Bailey, 25 games last year, 306 average, 6 homers, 25 RBIs. And I remember when she went down, that was big news. A lot of people wondered, could you overcome that? And I think people have kind of forgotten that because you did overcome it, but it wasn't easy. I know. And other players stepped up. You've talked about that when your number's called, it's up to you. But I mean, your team faced adversity. I don't know if people remember that from last season.
Yeah, and I just had somebody, actually it was out in Vegas at the NFCA convention, and it was a coaching friend of mine, and they said, kind of wrote you off after Dowling. And, I was like, well, that's okay. I mean, she was a big player, and then Claire Jenkins, it's like, just like boom, boom, boom. And the middle infield went down, and then all of a sudden, now it's like, oh my gosh. But, what Taylor Clark did and what Savannah Woodard did, shoot, the motto at Alabama is where legends are made. And, Taylor Clark, when she hit that home run against Tennessee and she hit another one against Clemson, she cemented her spot in that category. But what they did together, and Savannah led our team in 2-out RBIs in those 20 games down the stretch. And it seemed like every time she got up, it was second and third or bases loaded and always 2 outs. And she'd get that single up the middle to score 2 runs. And I'm pretty sure she led our team in 2-out RBIs for the year. So, yeah, it was, it was good for the team to, we always say, grit is one of the greatest separators. It doesn't even matter, athlete. If you can be gritty and bounce back after adversity, because you're going to get hit in the face, regardless of what you do, where you're at, whatever, you're going to have some sort of adversity hit you, but it's the ability to bounce back quickly. And our team did that. We had one really crappy game against Florida when Claire went down, and it was the next day. And everything kind of fell apart. But then after that, the Sunday, we came back, we had a big win. And then from then on, it was on an incline the whole way. So I was really proud of them.
Well, it helps too when you have in the circle Montana Fouts, who 27-4, 161 ERA, 349 strikeouts. And I would argue, Coach, going into 2022 season, she's probably one of the faces, if not the face of college softball. I saw her in SEC Nation on their pregame show for football. She was highlighted on one of the episodes there. Is that something that you as a staff talk to her about? Because there's going to be a lot of noise and she's a lot of people recognizable and there's going to be a lot of media requests for her. Is that something you talk to her about? Because at the end of the day, she's still a young student athlete.
Well, have you ever met her, Eric?
Yes, briefly, yes.
Okay. The minute you meet her, you absolutely fall in love with her. And she can talk to an 80-year-old as well as she can an 8-year-old. And not many 21-year-old kids can do that right now. But she has equal just friendliness. She's very humble. She has no ego. And, one of the things I always say is that if the hardest worker on the team can also be your most talented, that's when you're going to do some damage. And it's been absolutely true since she stepped foot on campus. And her ego could be the size of Texas, and it's not. And just tremendous young lady, all this NIL stuff. Everything that she's got, she's absolutely earned. And the coolest part of it is not one person's jealous of her. And to me, jealousy and envy are dirty words in a team sport. And she has just handled herself so well. And I would agree with you as the face of college softball right now, because she's definitely the face of, women's sports at Alabama. She was a candidate for homecoming queen, barely lost that. I'm not sure how she did, but that's another story and another Zoom for us. But she literally has fans worldwide. When we went to the Netherlands and Japan, international trips. The Netherlands was 2014, and I'm still friends with some of the people that we met over there. They're texting me, emailing me, direct messaging me on Twitter and stuff, how much they love watching Montana play from the Netherlands. So it's just unreal the positive publicity that she has given not only the University of Alabama, but the sport of softball, period. And I can remember when we recruited her, I was like, this is going to end up like Montana or Madonna and Cher, as all you got to say is Montana, and you're going to know who you're talking about. And it's true. And I think, my SID, Nathan, would agree with me. She handles herself very well with the media. She's very gracious with everybody. At Alabama this fall, our development team, they are doing a $1.5 billion capital campaign. And they're raising money for everything. And a year ago, the gentleman that's the vice president called me and said, hey, we're going to do this campaign. Do you think Montana would join us and, maybe have a speaking part or something? And I said, oh, absolutely. This was before, this year's World Series, way before. So World Series, she throws the perfect game. She's the NCAA pitcher of the year, everything, just a great role model. And then in September, they have this huge production in the Coliseum, and she's on stage with our men's basketball coach and Ozzie Newsome, who's one of the greatest football players ever at Alabama. And he was the GM for the Baltimore Ravens for years. And everybody knows both Nate Oates and Ozzie, but they also knew Montana. And it was one of the coolest things ever. And she did a great job. She had a speaking role, and, just the people that she's touched outside of softball is so cool to see. And it's just, she's kind of like a once in a lifetime kid, as a coach.
She transcends the sport. People will never forget when she throws the perfect game against Arizona with
UCLA.
She throws the perfect game. She pitches. The reason I was thinking the Arizona game because she pitched in front of her idol at the game, and she handled that so well in the interviews, and even obviously in the season-ending loss. The way she took the questions, you could just tell there the competitiveness in her. And I could remember seeing that and seeing, wow, this is somebody she's gonna be really motivated because of this going into next season. An incredible competitor, but really embraces that kind of ambassador, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. And, she handled herself with such grace in the fall with the homecoming, candidacy and stuff like that. I can remember we got our championship rings for the SEC, and it was the night we played Tennessee in football, and 101,000 people are there, and it's crazy, and it's exciting, and it's exhilarating, and everything you don't think about it. But she tweeted once she got home that night, she said something like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Coming to Alabama was the best decision of my life. The people here are just incredible. And just with that one tweet, it was about 3 sentences. She just gained, 100,000 more fans, not only Alabama fans, but just fans of college softball and fans of athletics, just by her humbleness and grace about that whole process.
She's incredible, but she's not the only talented pitcher you've got on your staff. You got Lexi Kilfoy back, 13-4, and then you got a couple of youngsters behind him. Just talk about the rest of your staff and how you feel about them.
Well, Kilfoy, she killed it this fall. She had some nasty pitches, and I think she's in really good shape. After the season was over, I'll be honest with you guys, and we were honest with her. I was like, because she can hit too, Eric. She's got pop like you wouldn't believe. And so we kind of had we need to decide here, what are we going to do? Are we going to still try to hit, or are we going to, because, I look back and I think the best pitcher that hit was Lisa Fernandez. And somehow she made it work. And she played third base. I mean, my God, she's just a hell of an athlete. But she hit, she pitched, and she played third. And she was great at all of them. So, and it was kind of, I'll take the blame about, because you have to we don't go over hours. So we only have a specific amount of hours to pitch, to hit, to field, so something had to give. And she still wanted to hit, which we were happy with. And she hit some balls extremely hard this fall. So you're going to see her getting more opportunities in the lineup. But her off speed, her changeup, she's got this off speed curveball that's just nasty. But I thought she was very confident. And then Jayla Torrance, she'll be a sophomore. She's a young lady from Dothan, in-state product that she hit 70 several times on the gun, and very hard worker. And I think when she gets a very consistent changeup, and she's got a good one, it just needs to be consistent. She can beat some teams. And then the other kid that really nobody knows about was Alexandra Salter from Fort Myers. And her junior summer, she pitched Georgia Impact to second place at PGF. And I can remember she lost the game 1-0, and there was a runner at second with 2 outs. And the kid for the other team hit a ball that hit third base, bounced straight up in the air, and that's how they scored their own run. And but she pitched really well this fall. She gives us a different look. She's kind of like up, down, little change up, 5'11" righty. So she's going to be, nobody's seen her. So that's kind of like our wild card. But the 4 of them together, they all do something really well and something different. And so when you have 4 righties, you hope that they have different pitches. And so they all do. So I'm really happy. Steph did a great job with all 4. And then our catchers were, between Allie Shipman and Dorr, they were great. So we're pleased with the battery.
Challenging schedule as always, but the thing that strikes to me is opening weekend. You get to play at the Candrea Classic, which is so fitting. You were one of the last teams to play at Coach Candrea in person. Just kind of your thought. It's going to be weird. You're going to be exchanging the lineup card, and Mike's not going to be in the dugout. He's probably going to be in the stadium there somewhere, but it's not going to be in the dugout. What's your thoughts there that, the impact Mike Candrea has had, and you're going to get to be a part of that Candrea Classic, which I have a feeling is going to be quite successful tournament for them.
Yeah. And, when Stacy Iverson, who's the director of ops, and she had been an assistant for Mike, called me or emailed me and said, hey, what do you think opening weekend? And then when she said it's the Mike Candrea Invitational, I was like, boom, I can't pass that up. Because he's been a role model of mine for years. And I can remember at the World Series, long time ago, a Tucson TV station came up and had the camera and everything. And the TV personality said, tell us about Mike Candrea. And at the time, and you probably remember this, Eric, but do you remember the Nike commercial where "Be Like Mike"?
Yeah, Michael Jordan. Yeah.
And I said it to the reporter, and I said, but it's not Michael Jordan, it's Mike Candrea. I want to be like Mike. And he did everything the right way. I thought, he handled Team USA, won a gold medal, won a silver medal. I don't know how the hell he did both, but he did both very well. And then the other thing that I was really impressed with him is, throughout his career, he didn't stay the same. He adapted to the current situations in the sport and recruiting and whatever else. And, I guarantee you probably can't find anybody that would say a bad word about him, which is really cool. Because he coached for 35 years or whatever it was, and won 1,700 games. So when we had that opportunity, we're definitely going to do it. And it's it's Arizona, Oregon State was added recently, Southern Utah, and then New Mexico. So we'll play 4 different teams on 3 different days, and we've gone there several times, and it's one of our favorite trips. And one of the coolest thing about Mike, and I would assume that Caitlin Lowe, who's also one of my, favorite people in softball, she played on a USA team that I was lucky enough to coach in Venezuela one summer. And man, she impressed the hell out of me. She's just a great, great young lady, and really happy for her. But we're hoping that, we can keep this, I don't know if I'd call it a rivalry, but her coming here and us going there, we hope we can keep that going because it's fun to play them.
It's a part of an incredible schedule including Texas. And I got a couple more questions for you. Texas and Oklahoma will be joining the SEC down the road. And I feel like a part of you's got to think, well, what's the big deal? I play these teams every year anyway. It seems like, right? Like what was your reaction as all that was unfolding?
It's true because, shoot, we've run into Oklahoma postseason every damn year. And then, we've been trying to play Texas. We played them in regionals one year, and then we played them in supers. And then, you make the schedules 18 months in advance, not as bad as football where it's 10 years, but ours is about 18 months. And then we were supposed to go to Texas last year, and that was the weekend that got snowed out. It was open weekend, so didn't get to go. And then they were going to come here, but we're going to go there, because that's an easy trip for us. They're in the central time zone, great competition. Austin's great, so we're definitely going to do that. We're not sure. From what I've heard, it's still going to be 2025 when they join the SEC. There's a bunch of committees right now for every sport that's looking at how do we schedule, because we will have 15. Vanderbilt still doesn't offer softball, so that's a weird number for us. It'd make it so much easier if we had 16, but we'll do with 15. But it just raises the level of play in our league once again, because, I think I've told you this before, and Nathan knows this, but, when we had Texas A&M Missouri several years ago, when they joined, the two best sports of those schools combined was softball.
Yep.
By far. Missouri had been to the World Series like 4 years in a row, and A&M had just played for the national championship. And then boom, we get two of the best programs in the country to join the SEC. And then now you go around this time, the two best sports of those schools, or the best sport combined, is softball. And you can argue another way, but there's no way in hell I'm going to believe you that the softball is the best sport of those two schools right now,
Without question,
as a combination. So, it just makes us a little bit tougher. And I think, all of us are going to be, depending on who you play, because I don't think we can play, we'll never play the 14 opponents. There's no way. It would be like murder's row, and, it would ruin the league. But all of us are going to have to be very intelligent and smart about the way we would schedule out of league, because you don't want to get into the league and, get killed or whatever, because it's just going to be tough. So I think we're going to have to schedule very smart. Realize, maybe the conference tournament, I don't know what they're going to do with that. So it'll be very interesting to see, but it just makes the tougher.
no doubt. I mean, the SEC is going to be amazing. We'll let others figure all that out. There's plenty of time to figure that out between now and whenever they join. Last question for you, because you were the envy of a lot of coaches in the state of Iowa this summer, because you were at the Field of Dreams games. That was like a hot ticket, one of the hottest tickets ever in the state of Iowa. A lot of coaches try to get in. You got in. What was that experience like, and could we ever see something like that in softball?
Oh, that would be cool if we did. But, we play a little game with our seniors. If you really knew me, you would know. And then the kid or the coach finishes the sentence. So I'll tell you right now, Eric, that if you really knew me, you would know that night was probably top 3 in my life. I'm from 40 minutes away. I grew up in a small town called Fayette, Iowa. Dyersville is about 40 minutes away from Fayette. My dad died when I was 21. That movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've been to the field probably 50 times while in Iowa, coming home from Alabama, from Louisiana. My assistant coach, Allison Habits, actually took a trip one time, came up. We played catch on the field. I mean, it is just a feeling that you get when you walk on to that Field of Dreams. You don't get it anywhere else. And I was really, really lucky that Frank Minichino, the hitting coach for the White Sox, played baseball at Alabama. And when I saw that they were going to do this, the first person I asked was Tim Anderson, who's the shortstop for the White Sox, way above, me on the popularity scale, but he's from Tuscaloosa as well. So, and he wrote back and he said, Coach, we're only going to get 2 tickets each, because they're only going to have 8,000 seats available. And obviously, like you said, toughest ticket in the state of Iowa probably ever. And so then I asked Frank, and I think one other person came for him and he said, "Coach, you can have the other one." So I was really lucky to be one of only 8,000 people. And, the whole night was just perfect. Number one for MLB, for those two teams, win or lose, it was a win-win. And then the state of Iowa was the big winner because the sunset, the camera angles, and the whole thing. And, I had told some people that night from Dyersville and in Iowa, it's 6 degrees of separation. You can say, "Eric, do you know this guy, this guy, this guy?" "Oh yeah, yeah." And you're going to know somebody. So it was just really cool. But I could just tell, if you build it, people will come, and they're going to be swamped for years and years and years because of that one night. Because I guarantee you, there was a lot of people sitting at home watching on TV, thinking, "What's that like?" And I'm going to go there. And just a little advice for your listeners: go after like July 15th, because then the corn is pretty tall. Because if you go before that, the corn isn't as tall, which you need to, because you can actually go through the corn and kind of disappear like all the ghost players did. And but they still have the field. You can play catch. You can take ground balls. You can hit balls into the cornfield. The house is still there. I mean, everything is still there. It's very, very cool. And I'm glad that farmer decided to keep it, because he could have gotten rid of it the summer after the movie came out, but somebody talked him into it, and it's still there.
That's incredible. That's a great story. I like the advice. I've written it down. Thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time. I know it's busy time with everything going on, but I always appreciate talking to you and everything you do. Definitely will do this again. And again, congrats on being inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame here coming up in 2022. And thanks for everything, and good luck this upcoming season.
Well, Eric, thank you for what you do for our sport, because you add a dimension that's not here. And all of us appreciate you. And just by doing these interviews, you elevate the sport of softball. And I think that's the name of the game with the media, is just we need to get out there. And you're one of the biggest stars of the media who cover softball. So thanks for what you do.